All right, hello everybody. Welcome back to Return to Eden. I'm glad you decided to step back into the garden today. Today, I wanted to share a bit of a testimony about God's faithfulness and His promises and how He's always listening, even when we sometimes feel like He isn't. And so, today I have my dog, Dog. He's resting. He's not gonna come up here. He's a little camera shy. Anyway, but today I wanted to share how God brought my dog back. He was lost and then he was found. Amen. Back in 2020, I was fostering dogs at the animal shelter. Honestly, I think I needed an animal. Like, I was at a point where I needed an emotional support animal. And so I decided, I'm gonna dog foster. I'm gonna help the dogs. I am not a dog person, y'all. I love my dog, but I'm not that person who's gonna walk up and be like, oh, can I pet that dog? I'm about to pet that dog right now. That's just not me. I don't want to touch the dog. If I do touch, I need to wash my hands. Like, I'm not a dog person. So for me to go to animal shelter and decide that I'm gonna foster, it was like, oh, you need this dog. This dog don't need you. You need them. 2020. So at first, I got this really big dog. He was a pit bull. He was black. He was very huge and dominant. And he barked at my daddy one time, and he had to go back. We couldn't do that. So ended up taking him back. And then they gave me this sweet, he's like a pit bull mix, but he's brown and he has like white underbelly. And his name was Gimbal. And so little Gimbal came home with me. He was about 2 years old at the time. He was just so sweet. He was already house trained. He was just so shy at first. I just had a bad day. I was crying. It was bad. Gimbal came over, just sat with me. And I was like, oh my gosh, this dog is so smart. He's emotionally aware. It just felt like this was my dog. But when it came time for me to think about taking him back, or, however long you keep him, somebody could end up wanting to adopt him. I was like, nah, this mine. This is my dog now. He fit really well into my family. I went and I adopted him. We renamed him to Dog. I wanted a J because my name has a J. He like Dog. Little bourgeoisie, little deja, little Dog. And that's my son. But nobody wanted that, so it was a G instead. So anyway, throughout 2021, 2022, I just wasn't really taking the best care of myself. And with my dog, it was kind of the same thing. Like, I would give him the basics, some food, some water, a little pat here and there, but I really wasn't loving on him. And I think that's also because I didn't really know how to love myself properly and to pour into myself. I wasn't able to pour into other people, plants, things, pets either. There was one day where I was home. He let Dog out and Dog never came back. He just kind of disappeared. At that time, I had stopped being grateful for Dog and the role that he played in my life, how well-mannered he was as a dog. Like, he is actually a good dog. But then how he is so emotionally in tune and for his protection and all of that. So when he got lost, of course I was sad. This is gonna sound bad, but I created flyers. I missed him, but I didn't even put the flyers up. And part of me did not even want to look for him because I felt like wherever he was going to be better than being here with me. And I don't really want a dog anyway. I'm not a dog person. So somebody else can take care of him. I didn't feel like he was unalived. I just felt like he hopefully went away somewhere with a good family and somebody who was going to love him and be able to take care of him like he should. That was that. He never came back, but I literally had a stack of flyers just sitting on my desk. and I did nothing with him. That was in 2023. In like June, we go a whole year without him. I mean, I have, receipts, and I can show you the flyer that I made. I actually like posted in the corner or something up here. So, oh, there he is. Yep. At that time, I started to miss him. When we would have dinner at home, he would be sitting under the table. He would like sit right under our feet. And we thought about him with water bottles because he likes to play with the water bottles. And so, of course, he has toys. He had toys, but he liked to play with water bottles because it's like kids. You buy them a toy, but they don't want the toy. They want the piece of paper. They want to eat the pencil or seeing his leash and him not being able to be walked because he's not there. So it was just all these little things. I was like, oh man, this dog is an integral part of my family. Everybody misses him. There was one day where I felt like I just wasn't being grateful for a lot of things in my life. I wasn't being grateful for my job. I wasn't really grateful for my family in a sense. I didn't know how to show up for people. And I was just very frustrated with where I was at that point in my life. I just prayed to God. And I remember because I was in my living room. And I just prayed. I said, God, because the flyers were literally still sitting there on the table. And it's months later. And I just looked at it. I was like, God, please, if you bring DLG back, I promise to love him and take care of him as I should. And to really pour into him. And so that, he's taken care of. When we first got DLG, yes, he was house trained, but he was so nervous. He would whimper in his sleep. He was afraid of us. I really was able to see him, this shy dog, really open up and just start to relax. It felt like he didn't have to be guarded anymore. And so I remember the dog that he was and how he started out. And then knowing that through our love, through our affection, he really came out of that place of really, I don't know what went on before we got him, like the trauma that he probably went through or could have went through before he came to live with us. I was just reflecting on all of that. I just said that prayer and I had no intention or thought that DOG would come back, but it just gave me a sense of peace that maybe God could answer this prayer. And if he did decide to bring him back, if being with me would be better than where he is right now, then he could make it happen. I don't actually know when I said that prayer, but I know it was nowhere near the time that DOG actually came back home. Leading up to the day of DOG coming back, it was a Thursday night. It was, I believe, May of last year. I had a dream that I was dreaming about DOG coming through the kitchen door. He was wagging his tail, bust through the screen door, just running. And he was all happy and my whole family was in the kitchen. We're like, DOG, you came back. And then this little scrappy dog, I don't know who the scrappy dog was, came through the door after him. He had brought his little friend. I had that dream within a dream and I woke up in my dream. I went to the kitchen and in the process of telling my family that I had a dream that DOG came back, I looked to my right and DOG comes through the door the same way that he did in my dream. And this little scrappy dog is behind him. And then I wake up and I text my family, I cried when I woke up. I was like, oh my gosh, one or two things I feel like God was trying to tell me. DOG had passed away or he was bringing DOG back. And I haven't had any dreams like this before. I've had dreams where I feel like God is giving me a vision, but not to this extent as what I'm about to tell you. So I wake up, I text my family, and I'm gonna put the text up here. And I say, y'all, I have a dream that Dio came back. And my mama says, I was thinking about him the other day too. Maybe he's just sending us positive energy or something. And I was like, yeah, possibly. So that morning, it was a Friday morning. I was supposed to go into work, but I just wasn't feeling the best. I was I was just feeling off for some reason. I text my manager. I was like, hey, I'm not feeling the best. Can I just stay home? So I'm in the kitchen. I'm just making breakfast, I got my gospel music going, and I'm just like lifting my spirit, right? Also, my parents happened to be home that day. They were like outside doing some yard work that morning. So then I hear my name over the music. Deja, Dioge's back, Dioge's back. I look to my right, and Dioge busts through the door exactly how he did in the dream. And there was no scrappy dog. My sister eventually came through the door, but she's not a scrappy dog. But Dioge came through the door wagging his tail the same way that he did in my double dream. I had no words. I fell down and just started crying because I just felt like God brought him back. I prayed about him bringing Dioge back and being a part of my family again, and me having the capacity to really love him like he should be loved. He listened. He also showed me how good of a God he is and how he keeps his promises. And I was just blown away by even God giving me a vision. The third time is when he actually came back. And so that the number 3 and the confirmation in that, it was impactful on my faith. We were just overjoyed that he came back, but we were also thinking, where has he been this whole time? So a couple months after that, there's a family that stops in front of our house, and they get out the car, they're like, Shadow! And there are 2 girls and their mom. The mama starts to tear up, and the daughters one of them is crying. Dioge runs right up to them. He gets in the car. They talked about how one day the girl was playing outside. She saw the dog, and the dog followed, Dioge, and Dioge followed her home. They named him Shadow. He liked to get in the car. They like to take him to the dog park. And when he came home, he was really well taken care of. So, my family told them, this is our dog. He was lost about a year ago, but we really appreciate you all taking care of them. Anytime you want to come and see him or play with him, like, you're welcome to do that. I said, wow, that's crazy. So then the family shares that they used to have a dog that looked exactly like Dioge, and he passed away. And so they wanted a dog. Then Dioge just pops up. I got chills right now just thinking about it, because my time of missing Dioge, or possibly, and not at first missing him, but then also realizing how good of a dog he was and how he plays a role in our family, even as a pet. He was out doing his work. Like, he was out doing God's work. And my sister had jokingly said when he came back that he was on a missionary trip. And so it was like, we were just like, took it as a joke. People gone for a year, that come back and, life just starts up again. But no, like, actually, Dioge was on a missionary trip for this family. He provided them the pet that they had lost, and they got to take care of him and nurture him, and they loved him probably just as much as we love him. Like, wow, God literally uses everything. He literally uses everything. Like, my God, my God is good, but my dog is good, and he's a missionary. My dog is a missionary. That's crazy. He was on a mission. He was literally on a mission, y'all. So, yeah, it's just beautiful how God will use everything in between and far and near, and animal, plant, dog, person, butterfly, bottom of a shoe, to show his goodness and his grace. Lord, you are good and your mercy. But I feel that him coming back has really shown me a lot about trusting God, but also about unconditional love, because this dog cannot do anything for me. He can't help me pay bills. He can't drive me around. I just think that animals are really a blessing, and Dioge has been a blessing in my life, I'm not one of those people who's treating my dog like a human and we eating off the same fork now. We can't do that. But the way that God has allowed for humans and animals, and especially dogs, to interact in this companionship that has been bred between us, and for the human ability to take care of animals, and God placed Adam over the animals and gave them names. And so it's a reflection of God's love over us as his children, and how we can't do anything for him, but he loves us still. But yeah, that's how God brought my dog back. I wanted to share this testimony because it's a reminder of how good God's love is. It's like the Elevation worship song. I sought the Lord and he heard and he answered. Like, God will answer, and he's listening, and he will use things as a way to teach us about who he is and his goodness. Anytime that we're feeling like God doesn't hear us, because when I said that prayer and asked God to bring DLG back, I wasn't like deep in prayer, and I was like, man, God, if you can bring DLG back, and then I will love him how he's supposed to be loved. But it wasn't like, oh God, please bring my dog back. It doesn't take all that. Talking to God is enough. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be anything crazy. And sometimes the things that we just say in the natural, God is going to work in the supernatural in his own way. And he really caught my attention when he decided to give me a dream within a dream. And then the next day, he brought DLG back. And it's just so beautiful to see in real time. It was just like God said, girl, who do you think I am? Why did you have any doubt? Why do I go into prayer at times believing that maybe God won't provide? It's like, say it with power, say it with authority that God has placed in me, in you, in us. So I hope that you just remember this testimony if you're ever going through a time where you feel like your prayers aren't being heard, or the smallest thoughts that you have are not being considered by God. In due time, God will provide exactly what you need and exactly what you prayed for in his own special way, for the goodness of his glory and for the sharing of testimonies to bring people to him. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for coming to eating with me. DLG, come here. Come here, boy. Come here. Come on. Oh, stand up. Come on. Stand up. Stand up. Look at the people. Look, DLG. Oh, he's not interested anymore.